Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome, gentle listeners, to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. My name is Donilius Slapsback, and I'm the realest heel in this podcast deal. With me, as always, is the illustrious face of the channel. You love my name, you're gonna love yours. Here we go. Joshua Maximilian DuPont Davenport Ignatius Alawala Tippington III. We're here to cover Monday Night Raw for 12/16. TTW fam, let's get into it.
Wait, what was my name again? One more time.
Joshua Maximilian DuPont Davenport Ignatius Alawala Tippington III.
Alawala Tippington the third. Man, my life was rough in elementary school. They were like, "Can you sign your name?" And I'm like, "Do you have another sheet of paper?"
My life is forever difficult trying to say that. Y'all, never mind. Let me just, sober. And I don't feel like it.
Well,
That's a name. I wrote that name down and I'm like,
Josilius Maximilian Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang the third year. And this episode of Joshulus. This episode of Monday Night Raw ends up being pretty good. Spoiler. But unfortunately, it starts out with CM Punk.
You leave him alone. He's a nice bit.
Sure.
He's a nice bit.
He makes his way to the ring, and of course, the crowd, for whatever reason these people do so, are chanting his name. And he ends up just prattling on, basically doing the CM Punk thing of like, here's the thing I said 5 minutes ago that I'm now going to completely contradict. Although this time he spaced it out a bit. He more or less says that, he said to Seth he doesn't really think about him, but in fact he does think about him, and it puts him in a bad mood because Seth is right. And then he, said some crap about Liberace and Seth's fashion sense, and finished by saying that Seth came out there and with a straight face told the world that I ghosted him. And when somebody says you said that with a straight face, like, it's incredulous. But then he follows that up with, it's true. But I'm not here to litigate the past. Of course you're not, Punk, because litigating the past will not go well for you because Seth is right. And he goes on to say he's looking forward to the future, as anyone who's running from their shitty past must. And then he finishes off by trying to, apparently antagonize Seth Rollins into interrupting him. And he says, "Oh, I know what'll do it. The whole world chanting my name." And then Seth does, in fact, come through the crowd. He's also chanting CM Punk, ironically. And he basically says he thinks that, maybe if he came out through the crowd, he see CM Punk the way the people see CM Punk. And he's like, he takes a good hard look and he says, "Nope, even from here, you're still an asshole." That was hilarious. And then CM Punk says, "Well, it's good you're up there. You belong there with the rest of the CM Punk fans." And Seth is like, "Oh, you think that's embarrassing? It doesn't embarrass me to be out here with the people. I've always been a fan of this, and I always will be. If anyone should be embarrassed, it's you, because this fan has got more WrestleMania main events than you ever will. And that's a fact, Phil." And that not only was Seth Rollins winning the War of the Words, but that apparently provoked CM Punk to limply sort of start heading after him to try and get into a brawl. And this was kind of a piteous brawl where they were
Yeah.
throwing the fakest and softest looking bitch punches because God
And
help us if
kicks.
CM Punk gets injured in the workup to having a match.
Yeah.
So long story short, Punk and Rollins are having some sort of feud.
If
Um,
I if I may,
mhm.
uh, so I think the beginning of this particular opener, that CM Punk delivered, it kind of explains a I think his personal issue, uh the issue that he has with himself. Like there's a personality trait here that I'm gonna talk about in just a second when it comes to CM Punk. And if you continue with the first bit, just the first paragraph of this promo that he cuts, it pretty much sums up his issue when it comes to his his ring or his mic game. So the first part, he comes out and he sees, like, he's looking in the audience, and people are every, like, the chant for his name is deafening. Okay, CM Punk all around, but he makes a point to point out. He says the very first thing he says is, "Careful, some people might get mad when you chant my name." Not to call attention to people that don't matter, and then he calls attention to this person that clearly matters to him. But
Exactly.
somebody that might get mad is some brave guy in the New York jersey over here. So he points out a fan who is apparently giving him the business, and he doesn't like it. He points this guy out, and it says, like, it takes a lot of balls to show up in Boston wearing New York anything. Okay, cool. But the fact that every single person, I mean, damn near every person, was chanting his name was not what he was paying attention to. It was the one guy who wasn't. The one guy who he felt didn't like him or didn't want him up there that he had to point out. And this sums up CM Punk from now all the way back to AEW, all the way back to WWE. That right there sums it up. His problem is the fact that he can't let go of what he thinks is a slight, because his whole fucking shtick is centered around him being a guy just trying to make it, and then people, everybody, for no reason, hating him. He has no idea why, but everybody hates him
Yeah.
because he's so controversial, and he just keeps, like, everybody's got his names. Everybody has his name on their lips. When in all honesty, he can't shut the fuck up about people.
Yeah.
Now I
Um,
have defended him in the past whenever Seth came out and was, like, ready just to fight him for no fucking reason, and he's like, "Bro, I haven't thought about you." That right there should have been the end of his promo. But because, and this is the second issue with CM Punk, because he can't cut a promo to save his life, because he just thinks that everything he says is gold. He doesn't think about it. He just comes out and says dumb shit. So the promo that he cut for himself, that he was up on, he basically destroyed in the following promo that he created. He comes
yep.
out and just like mumble raps about just the most incoherent stuff. This guy that doesn't matter, that you can't fucking stop talking about. You don't want to talk about the past, but I can go down the list. And I'm not just hating on CM Punk to hate on CM Punk. I love wrestling, and yes, I am a heel, and I could fucking talk shit all day. But I'm being honest right now. I've tried. I want to see what people like about this guy. I want to understand this. Okay, so he's shooting himself in the foot with this promo. He can't let go of this one guy who apparently slighted him. He talks about not wanting to linger on the past when that's all you fucking do. How many times has he talked about AEW, but the second AEW says anything about him, oh guys, you gotta be the bigger person, like move on with your lives. Like,
Dude,
CM Punk has moved on. You fucking serious he's moved on?
dude, like the last time AEW even reacted to them was at the beginning of the Elite's takeover, which was way earlier in the year, I think.
But who's
And
still talking about AEW? Who's still
I was
talking about
getting to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, AEW hasn't had anything to say about Punk, but just recently on like Ariel Helwani's show, he like went after them, and it's like
Because
you're a cry bully in the sense that you pick these fights, and then when somebody responds back and inevitably tears you apart because your foundation was bullshit to begin with,
yeah,
and they release video evidence that you in fact were the one who lacked the professionalism not to come to blows behind the scenes.
yeah.
I mean,
With a young
everything
man.
about this dude is garbage. And, I appreciate you wanting to take like a second chance, or that WWE hired you again for some fucking stupid reason, probably only and exclusively to try and make AEW look bad by
Yeah.
like, well, they couldn't make CM Punk work, but we will. Yeah, good luck with that. I think CM Punk is the most self-sabotaging piece of shit on the planet, and that's because he knows how much of a fraud he is and is constantly waiting to see who else sees it and tries to negate that.
Yeah.
The dude
And
is garbage.
and I
Uh,
just want
Go ahead.
No, and I just want to point out, I'm not trying to dredge up this AEW shit like CM Punk does every fucking moment that he feels like it. Like he's legit the heart of of like AEW slighted me and here's why they suck. Like he just won't shut up about it.
Yep.
But apparently they need to be the bigger person. Tony Khan needs to get over it. And I again, I'm not trying to just harp on that, but that's just the first thing I could think of. I could go
No,
down the
no.
list
Yeah.
with CM Punk and the shit that he feels slighted
CM
about.
Punk is the first motherfucker that would do a low blow, and then if somebody else low blowed him back, he'd be like, "Dude, that was below the belt." Like he. It's fine if he does it, but if you do it back and then probably one up him because he sucks, then he's mad. He's like, "Oh, well, why are you resorting to this?" Then brr, brr, brr. He's such a fucking idiot. He's a
Yeah.
fucking clown. And
And
I'm sure the only thing he thinks about anybody who's criticizing him is like, "Whoa, my name's coming out of your mouth. I guess I win."
right, I
Fuck
guess
you,
I'm
you muppet.
popular. And I'm like, that's not really the type of popularity that you should be
No,
going
you're
for. But okay,
infamous, you
bro.
fucking retard. You're not
Right.
popular.
So the so like the issue that I have with this whole thing is that he constantly like he's cutting a promo and I'm like, is this for you or against you? Because you basically, like I said, shot yourself in the foot almost immediately with the opener because uh you're in a bad mood because 2 weeks ago you had a face to face where you told Seth that you don't think about him at all, but you do. And
Yeah.
over the 2 weeks, not every waking hour isn't spent thinking about him. Your mind wanders back to him from time like man, I almost said something that I really can't say on this spot. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Um,
but
I
like
would.
hold on but that put him in a bad mood. And I'm like, what put you so it put you in a bad mood because Seth is right, like bro, what are we doing? And you don't want to dredge up the past, but that's a bad look, bro, because that's all you do. In fact, that's all you did in this promo that you cut against Seth
But
is
that's
bring up the past. But
yeah.
you
That's my whole point. Is that he talks out of both sides of his mouth. He'll say one thing and then contradict it, and thinks that like somehow nobody noticed.
and then people will come to me and say, well, what like he's just one guy. Tony Khan is like a part of a company. He's worth billions. He should be the bigger person, and just like turn away. And I'm okay. Hold on, like, because what the entire fuck are you even talking about right now? Okay, CM Punk, because he needs to be the bigger person. And so, but CM Punk is the bigger person. Is that what you're saying? Okay, CM Punk punches someone or slaps him or does something, he basically touches him first. He couldn't be the bigger person, right? How old is he? Almost 50? This is a 27-year-old young man that he attacks.
Yeah, and here's the saddest part is CM Punk has you now defending Jack Perry.
Yeah. Because I'm talking about the individual. I'm talking about Phil right now. I'm talking about the personality,
Yeah.
the smugness, the narcissism, and people who just, I mean, they just want to feed this, and that's cool. You do you, boo. But don't piss in my Cheerios
Yeah.
and then just tell me it's General Milk. Like that's a
Yeah,
bruh.
yeah, you know, there's the truth and then there's bullshit, and
Be
everything I see about CM Punk is bullshit.
I mean, just
And
be you. And I wasn't trying to do like a fucking 30-minute tangent on this dude. But I mean, this whole opener was just absolutely disappointing, and it was a bad look for CM Punk. And I'm not, bruh. All I'm saying is I'm gonna watch WWE. If you're gonna be a part of WWE and I'm gonna watch it, then I want to see some good shit. Bring me your best. So I'm not trying to shit on Phil, on CM Punk. I'm just saying, do something else. Think about what the fuck you're saying before you say it. Like,
well, yeah, no, I
everything that
agree.
comes out of your mouth ain't fucking gold, Phil. Like, you're a human just like everybody else. Consider
Yeah.
you're the best in the world, but you can't fucking make a coherent promo. Stop. Get some help.
Yeah.
Write your shit out.
I just want to say one more thing, and then we can move on from this. But earlier I said he's infamous, not popular. That was incorrect. He is infamous, not famous. I think at this point would be a better way of what I was trying to express it.
Yeah.
He is in fact popular for reasons I don't fucking understand. But remember how in the previous podcast I said there is apparently like this undercurrent, this subplot or a through line of like there's what's popular and there's what's right or correct or true.
Yeah.
Right? Whichever way you want to put that. And Phil kind of represents that. Like he's popular, but he isn't correct or true and certainly not right.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of is another element of that through line that we're seeing in the WWE right now of like, it's very popular to root for Roman Reigns since he came back. But, Seth and Drew and all of the people that aren't willing to give him a pass are correct. They are right. You're trying to reinstall the dictator that for 4 years everybody begged to have be toppled.
Yeah.
And it's like how quickly you forget how fickle you fuckers are. And I think it's a good point to make. And that's the same thing here. So I just wanted to add that, and we can move on from the Punk Seth like weak ass brawl and terrible CM Punk promo.
Yeah. I'm just saying, just fucking do better. Like, just do better, man. Come on. After that, I think we got a we had a backstage situation with Finn Balor, right? The Judgment Day.
Yep. Yeah, he was complaining about how how was he left completely by himself out there in the triple threat match on main event.
Yeah, and Liv Morgan was trolling his ass hard. Now, see, this is a perfect example. When we started this podcast, I was not a fan of Liv Morgan. Now, I feel like she's gotten I think she's gotten comfortable in the persona that she's trying to show everybody. I think she's got a nice little groove going. And she's working it in the ring, and now she's freaking cracking me up. So I mean, I can be won over. I want to be won over. I want to be convinced. Like, please trust me. I don't want to dislike anyone. I don't want to watch a wrestling show and then not like half the people on it. What's the point of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want
remember
to
we're
fangirl
fans
out
of
to
this.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I want. But I also don't want disappointing, boring ass bullshit either. So, and Freaking Liv Morgan is cracking me up now with her trolling.
Yeah, the
Um,
trolling is pretty good. She's leaning into being obnoxious, and it works for her because I guess it comes naturally.
yeah, Finn Balor wants to know why the Judgment Day had left him high and dry. Why basically they didn't come out for Saturday night's main event. And Liv was like, I thought you had it. Like we believed in you, Finn, right? Um, so you didn't need any help, and basically, he wouldn't need any help, or they won't need any help tonight because, like, Judgment Day has been banned from ringside anyway. So she's like, good luck, but I'm sure you got it. And I even think Raquel got in there, and
Because when we listen to Finn, we win.
yes, they were trolling so hard. Even Raquel was doing great. So yeah, that whole little segment had me uh pretty delighted to see the dynamic because just having Liv Morgan just having her passive aggressively trolling Finn and then him trying to smile like he's not bothered. I don't know. That worked for me.
Meanwhile, whenever like no one's looking at him or he's got his back turned to him, he's making like really, really upset leprechaun face.
Demonic rage face.
Yep,
Like he turns to an evil leprechaun for sure.
for
Um
sure.
yeah.
And then after the Judgment Day trolled Finn into the floor, which was great. Um, we get Seth Rollins backstage talking to Adam Pierce about how he wants the fight with Punk.
Yeah.
And Pierce is like, well, if you'd quit brawling, I could do my damn job. And Rollins is
This
like,
is
well, then do
ridiculous.
your damn job, get it done.
Yeah.
And then Rollins sees Drew McIntyre, and Drew's like, you and I, we're peas in a pod. We're the ones that see the threat that Roman Reigns is and aren't willing to forgive everybody.
Lord.
And Rollins sets him straight and says, look, just because we have this one commonality doesn't mean we're friends. I'm friends with Sami Zayn. I'm friends with Jey Uso. You and me, we're not friends. I respect those two individuals. The jury's out on. And and then he says he's going to go do what Drew couldn't and take out CM Punk. And that leaves Drew kind of seething.
Yeah, he's got his rage face.
Cause the truth fucking hurts.
Yeah, like Seth is out here just handing out documents of truth to everybody tonight. He's like, hey,
He's
you
handing
can
out
all
them
get
jagged
it.
little pills and everyone's choking.
Yeah, you guys, everybody can get it. Okay. So yeah, he wants his match, and Adam Pearce is ridiculous. I said that earlier, but I said it because I was just thinking about every time he has a promo where someone's yelling, he has to yell back at them. And it's just like, bruh, he's the worst. He's the worst imaginary like manager ever. He
The
is.
worst fake boss.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the worst fake boss, bruh.
And I do have to give Seth a lot of props for what he's doing and what he's working with. Man, his promos are bomb after bomb after bomb.
Yeah.
And I honestly think like it should be an uncontentious opinion that Seth Rollins is one of, if not the top guy that the WWE has.
Yeah. He is. He is. I mean, honestly, the company really is on the shoulders of individuals like him. Seth freaking Rollins, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre, and I don't think they appreciate Drew McIntyre enough. Maybe they will. Dudes like Sheamus.
Yep. Yeah. The workhorses,
Yeah.
the guys that can really do this in their sleep at this
The
point.
Miz, guys. The Miz. Listen, I know. It's very popular to hate the Miz, even when he's a face. People just generally don't like him, and even in real life, people seem to like he rubs them the wrong way. I get it because that's how I feel about CM Punk. So I get it. But I honestly think that the Miz is also he's a workhorse. The dude I think is freaking amazing. And I think he's great with anything that they give him. I just honestly think that he has done a lot of stuff, kind of like R-Truth, like these like guys like this man, keeping the lights on. You know,
Yeah,
Roman
you're not wrong.
Reigns.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yep. Jay
the whole
Uso.
Jey Uso, yeah, the whole freaking bloodline right now. Whether or not we like them or not, they're keeping the lights. Like you got to think, some of
Yeah.
these dudes are on both shows. The Usos, like and even before this whole new bloodline showed up, when they were still following Roman Reigns right before the breakup and all of that. Even then, the Usos, consistent, day in and day out, man. Monday Night Raw,
Yeah.
Friday Night
Both shows
SmackDown,
defending the shit out of those tag titles all the
there.
time.
So these men, like they work hard, and that's what I mean when I say I'm not trying to hate any of them. I don't want to. Like these dudes work hard. Yeah, even CM Punk, he's out there doing shit that I'm not doing stuff that I can't do. Like these dudes work hard, and it is worth acknowledging. But people like Seth and Roman, like company on the shoulders, on the
Yep.
shoulders. Like if they left, what? Think about Roman Reigns leaving WWE.
Yep. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, all of them.
Think about
Yeah.
them.
No, that would
Whoa.
be that would be like the WWE would implode, I think.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah,
So yeah, they're all very good. I'm just pointing out that like Seth is great.
yeah.
Like he
Mm-hmm.
is greatness. He is
Yes, yes.
the pro wrestler archetype.
Yeah, he's a national treasure. We must protect him at all cost. Yeah, no, he cuts the realest promos that I've seen, especially as of late, and that's kind of like that's an interesting, almost stark contrast to wrestling or the wrestling genre in general. So it's good. It's good to see. It immediately makes you go, oh, I feel some kind of way about a wrestling show. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
okay,
it keeps it grounded, right?
yeah,
Like we all know this is a show, right? We
yes.
get it.
What?
But the way that you do well to weave that all together is to address elephants in the room that get glossed over conveniently a lot of the time, and that makes you stand out. And I think Seth cuts to the quick on a lot of his promos. Like he sees through it directly, and it's like, man, he might as well. I mean, he did the verbal equivalent with Drew McIntyre saying, "Now I'm about to go do what you couldn't," and that's take care of CM Punk. That
Yeah,
was the
verbal
verbal
slap.
equivalent of a straight shot to the nuts. I mean, you just
No,
low blowed him into the floor.
yeah, yeah. Without warning, just pop, punch the fun bags. Um,
Yep, yep.
but it's a show. Joshius, next thing you'll be telling me is that wrestling is fake. And come on, okay,
No, no, I
come on.
didn't say that.
Yeah,
There's an artistry to it, both in terms of like storytelling and being able to be an actor and a stuntman and do a convincing job of both at all times.
yeah,
Um, so no, it's not fake. It's scripted in
yeah,
many regards,
yeah.
but I
No, I
mean
was
that's like,
kidding. I was
yeah,
just joking.
nah, it's I can't call it fake. We know that people are doing this as an act, but the amount of talent that it requires to do that and convince people that what they're seeing, even though they know it's that, is realistic enough for them to become invested. And
Yeah,
so they're, I think it's a disservice for like any of the people out there. Oh, wrestling's fake. I could see
yeah.
why they get upset when you say that. It's like because they put in a lot of work to do that fake thing.
Indeed, and that right there leads us into our first fake match of the night. Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser for the WWE Intercontinental for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. And I expected this to be a good match, of course, and it was. Um
Yeah.
Kaiser, look, you know what? Ludwig is another national treasure. I can see a belt on that dude eventually, hopefully.
This guy's commitment to Ludwig Kaiser as a character is
He's great.
outstanding.
He's a
He is
great character
so
actor.
over the
Yeah. Oh
top.
my,
He
it's
is so over
ridiculous.
the top. It's fantastic, is what it
Right
is.
down to his walk.
Yeah,
What?
every little gesture he makes, the way he says things that he says. I mean, this dude has this character on lock, and it's
He does.
fantastic. Now,
He does.
admittedly, he's a heel. We get that, but like, I mean,
What that's supposed to mean?
he's playing the part, So I
Listen,
mean, if people dislike it, I get that you dislike the character he's portraying, but you've got to respect the way he's portraying this
why would you
character.
like? Why would anyone dislike him? He's a nice boy. Ludwig Kaiser,
Sure.
a nice gentleman. Okay, like you guys, calm down. All right, like and for the
European excellence. Hello.
thank you. I'm glad you said it. So I mean, let's all just take it down a scotch. Just because someone might be a quote unquote heel, take it easy. Puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like any face. Right? You judgmental pricks, you stop it.
We're gonna find out that he actually has a contraption where he sets up his pants so
Yeah,
that he
he
can
wakes up
jump
in the morning
with
and then he
both
slides out
feet.
of his bed, and,
Both
like
feet.
toes pointed, just slides right into his pants, and then he does that little stupid twist, that turn he does. He does that to go to the bathroom. The music immediately plays. I believe he listens to that song all the time. Like when he goes downstairs to the kitchen to make some breakfast, he's like, "I want some Pop Tarts." Oh, oh, oh. I think that's like just immediately.
Just everything. That would be actually a funny promo. Just him doing regular shit. Like it's just that music the whole time.
This is Imperium. Like yeah, just
Like they show him trying to go through like security at the airport, and he's totally got the posture. And they're like, "We need to check this," and he won't move his arms because he's in that Imperium pose.
or
And then
he
they go
like
to touch him, and he's like, "Ah, yeah. How dare you, peasant! Get
and
away
that's
from me!"
yeah, and then immediately the next shot is just him being detained. So you're not going nowhere today. We'll be on the news. And in other news, a young man by the name of Ludwig Kaiser lost his shit in the local airport. Yeah.
And then they have an interview, and he gives the interview entirely in his character.
This
Oh
is
God!
ridiculous! I demand to speak to the higher ups! Just fucking losing his shit.
Just losing it. Total like German Karen at that point.
Like the cops are like, put your hands behind your back. No!
He's sitting there wanting to talk to a manager, and then Chelsea Green shows up because she's going through
Oh,
the sim, and she's like, "He's such a Karen," and then she walks off.
man, when Chelsea Green thinks you're too much of a Karen, holy shit.
That's pretty good. That would be
Oh
hilarious.
man. Yeah, that would be. But more about this match.
This was a solid match right here between
Yeah.
Breaker and Kaiser. Like, it starts out like you think it would, right? You're looking at Breaker and you're looking at Kaiser, and you're like, man, Breaker's just going to throw this dude around until he snaps. And it starts out a lot that way, except at one point in the match, Breaker starts to seemingly have trouble with his left shoulder. And seeing this, Kaiser just goes ham on trying to mess that shoulder up more.
Man, he
And
came up with about 30 different ways to fuck up that shoulder. Yeah, I'm talking
yes,
shit and looking at you. You know who you are.
let's name and shame.
You know who you are, Castagnoli.
Recently, we discussed how Claudio Castagnoli in two different matches went after an opponent's arm and proceeded to just repeatedly ad nauseum use the standing shoulder breaker,
Beavis.
which is basically just flapping the other guy's arm over the top of your own shoulder repeatedly. And this was almost like a gotcha bitch clinic from Ludwig Kaiser, because he came up with like 1,000 different maneuvers to go after Braun Breaker's shoulder.
Seriously, yeah. He should, and I honestly think that was on purpose. Because I mean, think about the match that we're talking about. We're dealing with Ludwig Kaiser, who is a much smaller guy, versus Braun Breaker, right? And that's literally the situation that match we're talking about was. We had
Yeah.
Claudio versus Brody, right? Was it Brody?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about like much smaller because like there's not a lot of people
Right.
that
Well,
Claudio is much smaller than, and that's part of why I think this is a problem. It's like, dude, you have all the tools in the tool belt.
but
Why?
it was still a smaller guy versus a big
Yeah,
dude, and
yeah,
that's why
true.
Claudio was going after the arm like that. He just kept that. That's why it was right, perfectly right over his shoulder. Just like he's a smaller guy to him, but he could still take him down with that shoulder. Ludwig Kaiser is a smaller guy to Braun Breaker. He's not teeny tiny versus Braun. He's got him by maybe 50. I think it was like 80 pounds, 80, 90 pounds. I
Yeah,
think.
it's a big weight difference, not so much of a height difference. I think Breaker may even be shorter than him,
Yeah, but he's considerably wider.
considerably. Yeah,
He's got a lot of muscle for your ass. My point is, it was two matches where one of the guys went after like a guy who could be smaller in frame went after the shoulder of a larger competitor. And I
yeah.
feel like WWE, I feel like they did that on purpose. I feel like Ludwig, every time he did a move that went after Breaker's shoulder, I feel like he just stood up and looked at the camera. Didn't do didn't do another move targeting the shoulder. Looks at the camera.
Mayhaps. I mean, I certainly couldn't know, but I tell you what, like in any match where the purpose, because it's a fairly standard wrestling like truism that they like to identify an injured body part and use that as an angle, and it's especially effective in situations like this where maybe it's a significantly smaller or physically overmatched opponent. So
Yeah,
what is their in? And you know, you've got to give them something. You either got to run them into the turnbuckle, or you've got to like they accidentally like run themselves into a chair or the announce table or something, right?
yeah.
Or in this case, your other option is that there's an identifiable weakness. Like it's not that different from the first or the one-on-one match that Damian Priest had with Gunter. In fact, I think it was a similar thing with the shoulder, right? And Gunter was coming into it with his crisis of confidence, and so he was very apprehensive until Damian showed any weakness, and then he seized on it. Um, and I think, you know, since that's a pretty common thing in wrestling, I can't say for sure if they were poking fun deliberately at Claudio. It maybe just worked out that way. Claudio, I think, poked fun at himself by being so uncreative in this match.
I think what
But
stands out for me for this is that they were both shoulders, like both, and I like both the same shoulder, like
well,
that
that's
catches my attention.
but well, like when you say both, do you mean Gunter and Damien
I
or
mean, I
Claudio
mean
versus
Claudio versus
well, see,
yeah.
that's the thing. It wasn't even the shoulder in Claudio's match with
Oh, it wasn't. What
it's
was it?
the
It
hand.
was the
It's the
hand, the
hand.
wrist, or whatever.
Yeah. So him doing repeated arm flappies makes
You're
even less
right.
sense. But that I mean, so that's just more of a an indictment against Claudio's performance in that match because it wasn't
Yeah.
even the shoulder, it was the hand.
Ooh.
Here at least, yeah, everything that Kaiser was doing was shoulder related. And there, you know, I guess someone could nitpick and be like, "Well, he put him in the shoulder submission like, you know,
Oh.
2 or 3 times." And I'm like, "Yeah, but in between, he gave you like a lot of variety." And I mean, let's face it, usually when a wrestler is targeting a specific body part, it can become a very kind of stale thing
Yeah.
because it's just a whole lot of kicking it or stomping it on the on the ropes like over and over. It can be that and I think what I'm trying to say here is I'm giving Ludwig Kaiser a ton of credit for his angle being you have to attack this one body part, make it creative, make it interesting. And Kaiser, to his credit, was trying his level best to do a variety of different things so it didn't seem like you were just watching him do the same thing over and over to Braun Breaker's arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so whether he was doing it intentionally to like disrespect Claudio directly, I have no idea. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he was just trying to put on the best show he knew how to with Braun in this, given what the match was trying to tell.
Yeah.
And I think he did an admirable job. So whether he was intending to poke fun at that or not, it doesn't matter because he was putting on a clinic of how you attack a specific body part without it getting too repetitive and boring to watch. And
Yeah.
so much credit to Kaiser for that particular, or whoever produced the match. I mean, whoever deserves the credit, credit to you or to all of you who were involved, because it could descend into being a very tedious, boring thing. And Kaiser, was doing his level best to try and keep the variety popping, even though all roads were leading to him attacking that shoulder.
Yeah. Hmm.
But
Well, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
eventually, as we move, kind of through because that was kind of in the middle part of the match, because the
Yeah.
first part was Breaker just kind of throwing him around a lot. And then in the middle part of the match, he's attacking that arm. Well, as we head into the latter part of this match, Breaker, I guess, his arm is as hurt as it's going to be. And now, adrenaline's kicking in, or maybe, he's
Is it
getting
in his soul?
used to the pain. Maybe it might be. But the story being told here is that despite that arm bothering him at this point, he's fighting through the pain now, and he's starting to, kick, Kaiser's ass more regularly, even with just one arm. And we had some cool high spots based on that. We had like the typical Braun Breaker kind of high spot where he jumps from the apron and does the clothesline. Though he ends up hurting his own shoulder more, at least as in the story. We also had Breaker a couple of times throw Kaiser around with just the one arm to utilize. We had him deliver the top rope Frankensteiner, or the Breakensteiner, as he calls it, without using any arms. He just salutes the crowd with the one arm while holding the other one at his side, and still pulls off the Breakensteiner perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think there was one point where Ludwig had thrown him out and run him into the steps a couple of times, and that put him in position for what Ludwig likes to do with the wraparound drop kick.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to hit the wraparound drop kick, but when he gets there, Breaker's gone. And apparently Breaker had gone around behind him and was coming up behind him and like hits him with a flying shoulder charge from the whole wraparound. And that was fantastic. Like that was really, really cool. And long story short, after some back and forth, we end up with Breaker still kind of hitting the spear. He even hit like a double knee gutbuster, which he does ferociously. And then he connects with the super spear to pick up the victory, even with one arm down. So basically, he gets to say he beat Ludwig Kaiser with one arm, effectively tied behind his back. So it was a really decent match between these two, and I was impressed with what they did with it. It was a good match.
Yeah, it was.
Moving on from there, we get taken to the backstage where the New Day has arrived, and like no one's talking to them. Like not any of the stage crew.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's just getting worse. Like they're like. And they go to the locker room, and Rey Mysterio steps out, and they're basically not allowed to enter the locker room. And they're like, "This is bullshit, man. We've been here for 10 years, and now you're gonna make us go dress somewhere else." And Rey Mysterio doesn't mince any words, for the good of the people in the locker room and your own good. The way you treated Big E is not going over well, so I think you need to find someplace else to change. And, because Ray is apparently the locker room leader. So they're like, fine, we didn't want to change with you anyway.
Yes.
And they seem completely... sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No.
I was just going to say that the New Day seems completely oblivious to why people would be upset at what happened with Big E. And it's just like, are you? Really? Okay.
Like, how are you not getting that, bro? like what are you not picking up on here?
I
Um,
mean, you only broke your neck, Biggie. Walk it off.
hey, walk it off, man. Put a band-aid on it. Come on. Like what is even happening?
What even is happening? I know you know it took you months to even feel your feet, but walk it off, dude.
Yeah, walk it off. You'll be all right. Okay. But I was gonna say that I thought it was hilarious because they just walked up to the door and like Rey Mysterio comes out, which means that he had the door slightly cracked open. And it was like, I want to imagine that he's just standing there with the door slightly cracked, and then like he sees him walking up, he just opens the door real quick and comes out like, hey,
Hey
yeah,
guys.
for everybody in the back there, got to find a place to change. You know, I'm like, damn, dude, like you just came out of nowhere. Yeah, but I love this. I love where they're going with it. I just want to see I want to see where they end up. Like, are they going to commit, or are they going to go, man, maybe everybody's right. Maybe we should apologize. Like, what? I want to know what they're going to do. What they're going to do with this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm definitely interested, but I think it's funny. I think it's funny that everybody is like, "Screw you guys," and
yeah,
I think it's even funnier that they're like, "I don't understand what we even did," and it's like,
yes,
"Don't you though?"
yeah. They don't get it, and I'm like, how do you guys not get it though?
Oh,
I don't know.
and a couple of notable mentions, and I'm reminded of this because the next thing that sort of happened was a recap of Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes at the end of Saturday Night Main Event. Which, if you listened to our podcast episode of Saturday Night Main Event, we ended it where the broadcast ended, and at the time of that podcast, we were not privy to what happened afterwards. So now would be a good time for the summary of that. Apparently, Kevin Owens jumped back in the ring right when Cody Rhodes was about to make an announcement to Long Island. I think he got the words Long Island out of his mouth before Kevin Owens hit him with like a huge forearm shiver to the back of the head.
Yeah,
And then he proceeded to deliver a beautiful looking package pile driver to Cody Rhodes. And then, of course, like while over on AEW, you know, people could do package pile drivers on the apron, and then they just continue the match, right? Like it's just Wednesday for them, or maybe Saturday. Um, Here in the WWE, because pile drivers have been banned, they are 10 times the lethality that they normally would
oh
be.
yeah, he's dead. He's paralyzed now.
So yeah, Cody Rhodes is dead at this moment in
Dead and
time,
paralyzed. He's both.
deadalized,
Dead alive.
and
There you go.
he's paradead. Um, so they end up putting him
Yes.
on a stretcher while Kevin Owens is just like, "What?" You know. And then apparently they followed him all the way out to, you know, putting him into the ambulance and everything. And so Cody Rhodes will now be gone like Randy Orton for the next foreseeable future because his pile drivers are super deadly,
Yeah.
and Kevin Owens just tried to kill someone.
Yeah. Guns don't kill people. I don't know how much I
Pile
can tell you
drivers
guys.
do.
Pile. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Pile drivers do.
So um Kevin Owens then and this is a part that they didn't even show a recap here, but apparently even after that, Kevin Owens was posturing around the ring with the memorial belt for Saturday Night Main Event that Cody had requested special permission to use. And so he's walking down the aisle with it, and he turns and he takes a big bow to the crowd, like, "Fuck you guys! Here's me destroying your hero with a pile driver." And out comes Triple H, and apparently Triple H and Kevin Owens get into a bit of a shoving contest. So there's a physical altercation with Triple H.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that apparently went on behind or after the show that we were not privy to at the time we did the podcast. So
Yeah.
here you go. Here's the update, and the drama is real. And so now, apparently, at least in the kayfabe, Cody Rhodes is out indefinitely. You know, with spinal neckiotomus or something. You know, he's got what did they say, like cervical bruising or something?
Yeah, or
You know,
something like that. And I was like, oh no.
and we were like, not his cervix.
Not the cervix. Not the cervicals. Lord, no, he too young.
I mean, in effect, they're saying Kevin Owens bruised Cody Rhodes' cervix. I
Oh
mean,
God, no.
dude, you know, But yeah,
I don't wanna talk about that.
he's gonna need a full neckiotomy apparently.
Screaming on the inside.
Oh, even on the outside,
Yeah.
just full scream. And on the subject of giving some recaps, I did want to take the time, because of the busy schedule and whatnot. We didn't end up covering it, but I would like to say, anybody who heard me going off on the stupid storylines and kind of deteriorating performance on our last Dynamite podcast, I would like to say that apparently Collision wanted me to eat all of my words because AEW's Collision was outstanding this
Yeah.
week. Again, real life and some other stuff, and we're getting close to the holiday season. We didn't do a podcast for it, but I would like to say the show writ large was very, very good. It would have been top tier for sure. And the main event match between Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe is an absolute classic immediately, like match of the year
Yeah.
contender, what these two men did.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
if I would love AEW to get consistent, because it immediately was like, I had just gotten fed up with like the bullshit storylines, and then Collision comes out and is a diamond, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how do we end up this way? Like, how do we end up with Dynamite like being spectacular in a lot of ways, and then Collision is firing on all cylinders, and not only that, but produces like not only great matches, but a match that I legitimately mean I would put up against anything Will Ospreay's done, anything anyone anywhere has done this year with Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher. That is a match of the year contender. Like, it's crazy to me the inconsistency of like what you're getting depending on which show you're watching at times.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to correct the record on that because AEW like turned around with Collision and basically made me eat my words on everything that I had to criticize in Dynamite.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep an eye out. Again, with the holidays coming up, we'll probably end up taking a hiatus from the podcast during the holiday break, like between Christmas and New Year's. But going forward after that, I know we talked a lot about taking a little bit of a breather from covering AEW, but if AEW is more like that last episode of Collision, we'll be back. AEW's back on the menu, boys, because that was phenomenal. I mean, it really blew my mind.
Yeah.
So that's the recaps. That's news. And that becomes relevant because in this episode of Monday Night Raw, after the New Day are kicked out of the locker room by Rey Mysterio, they did a video recap of the vicious attack that Kevin Owens gave to Cody Rhodes. And so I felt it was important to cover that we did not know that at the time that we did Saturday Night Main Events podcast. So now everybody should be on the same page, up to date. So there you go. And would you like to speak to what came next?
I would. Excuse me. I think it was because we had a whole bunch of like little vignettes and stuff. Like we had the War Raiders vignette, where they talked about what it's taken them to get where they are now because they have a championship match tonight or Monday night with the Judgment Day or against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McBighead. Excuse me. And let's see what else happened to that. I think Kathy Kelly had a backstage interview with Adam Pearce for some reason. Like, why can't he just come out and say what he's gonna say? But whatever. Basically what we already knew. CM Punk and Seth Rollins are gonna have a match. We just need to know when, and it's gonna be on the Netflix premiere, I believe, on January 6th.
Yep. Oh man, that's gonna be a stacked day because like Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa are doing their tribal combat then too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're stacking that card, man. That Netflix debut is gonna be hot.
Yeah. And then after that, Liv Morgan and Oh, Liv Morgan comes out. She comes out on stage, and I think
with Raquel carrying a megaphone for some reason.
yes, yeah, that's right. With Raquel and Dominic, and Raquel was holding a megaphone. We didn't know why. We found out. So they all come out to the ring, and Dominic tries to talk. He's trying to say, "Everyone, please put your hands together." Uh, and welcome the greatest women's world champion of all. That's what he's trying to say. And he might have said it. I don't know. But the boos were so
He
loud.
was drowned out.
Yeah. And so Liv Morgan is like, I don't think you guys heard what Daddy Dom is trying to say. Uh, and so she grabs the the megaphone that Raquel was holding and yells what she's trying to say through the megaphone. And Dominic puts the mic in front of it. So it's probably blistering loud, which I found absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's like, I'm the greatest women's world champion of all time, and just threw this megaphone.
oh my god, it was and then I'm like, yes, be annoying. And then she does her little annoying frog-like laugh through the through the megaphone, and I'm like, this is beautiful. This is gold right here.
Yeah, this is Nick. This is like top level annoyance trolling. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so much. And then while she's trolling the audience and talking about how how amazing she is and what she's gonna do next year and whatnot, while she's doing all that, Rhea Ripley's music cuts in and she comes out. And she she gets to the ring. She's like basically telling Liv that she's gonna want to hear her. And I think Liv said that nobody cared about about Rhea, and I'm like, oh honey.
Yeah, I think it got drowned out though because the crowd was popping for Rhea so hard that like
Yeah,
Liv, maybe she should have kept that megaphone.
maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. But like this is just another one of the segments where uh Liv is talking smack and Rhea tells her to shut up and the audience loses their mind and then Rhea tells her she basically announces a match. So she has a match that Adam Pearce approved. Of course, Adam Pearce approves a lot of matches without talking to the other opponent in this match. Again,
Right? Like
that
surprise.
Adam Pearce
That's
is
what you're
the
in.
worst. He is the worst fake manager
Worst boss
ever.
ever. Yeah.
Like this guy is ridiculous. Fire him
Hey.
now.
Remember that time Tiffany Stratton was like, "What am I
What I
supposed to
do?
do?"
Yeah, you'll
And
figure
he's
it
like,
out.
You'll
Like, what
figure
the
it out. It's
fuck?
like she's
Imagine,
literally asking you what her job
yo,
tonight is. And like,
yo,
figure it out, woman. I need a
yo,
drink.
yo, imagine your first day of work. You're trying to do your fucking level best to impress your boss, do the best you can do. You go over there and you're like, "Good morning, sir. What are my duties today?" You'll figure it out. The hell? Where am I working?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I
That
mean, Santos Escobar even was like, I don't think he's going to be pleased because he was trying to tell Nick Aldis that it's a clown show over on SmackDown.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
you
dude,
sure don't want to go
wait
over
till
it.
you get to Adam Pearce.
Yeah, if you think it's a clown show over here, my man, then yeah, bright blessings to you on your journey to go meet Adam crazy ass. You'll figure it out, Pierce.
By the way, just to be clear, I'm giving Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis grief in the kayfabe, but both these dudes are doing a great job with this character that they've been given.
I hope they know that. You guys don't know that right now. If you don't know that, don't even at me right now. Don't even at me, bro. Okay. All right. So, so, basically, yeah, announcing that there's gonna be a match, and it is important to note, like I don't like going verbatim or word for word, but it is important to note that Rhea Ripley did give Dominic Mysterio a better nickname than Daddy Dom. Okay, she gave him the name of Little Chicken Tender Slut. So my man's new name, I don't care what you say, it's Chicken Tender Slut right now.
She was like, the only thing you'll have left, Liv, is your little chicken tender slut. And that was great. Oh man, the crowd blew up on that. And
What do you even,
oh,
what?
Wade
That's,
Wade Barrett, who has like an unconcealed man crush apparently on Dirty Dom, was just floored. He's like, "Oh, how could you, Rhea? How could that's so vulgar language, Rhea? Be a professional."
yeah, well, she is a professional. And he is too, so is Dominic. He's a professional little chicken tender slut. Oh, okay.
Emphasis on little, because I think
Yeah.
she showed a measurement with her fingers, and it was like it was not flattering. It was more like chicken
Yeah.
nugget
Yeah, I was
slut.
like, oh snap. And fucking Tesseract is all messy as hell. I was like, what is she just what is she measuring? Like Wade's trying to change the subject. And Wade's like, this is an outrage. I cannot believe you. He's fucking losing his shit. Fucking Tesseract's over there being messy as hell. I'm like, this tonight is full of trolls, I see. Um After that, uh Kathy Kelly was about to have a interview with Seth Rollins when in the back it looks like Drew is like barreling towards Seth Rollins, like he's about to go out, like he's going in that
Like
direction.
for a blindside claymore or
Yeah,
something.
he's focused in that direction, and then out of nowhere, Sami Zayn comes out of here and just starts swinging on
Starts
Drew
wailing
McIntyre.
on him. Yeah.
Yeah, he just like he's throwing hands, and Drew McIntyre is basically saying like he's gonna fucking kill him,
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and Sammy's like any day, like let's go, and I'm
Now,
like Sammy, I appreciate you helping Seth
hey,
right now, like that's up.
but here's the thing: Sammy was going hard. This is what I mean. Like earlier, I said that what Seth Rollins and CM Punk was doing looked weak because the punches looked like they were
Yeah,
very
it was kitten
weak
mitten.
and slow.
Yeah,
This was the opposite of that. Sami Zayn was coming at Drew like he wanted blood, and Drew was fighting back like he meant it too. Like there
yeah,
was a very much more believable amount of aggression and vitriol between these two
yeah,
than what had happened earlier in the night. I guess presumably because they don't want CM Punk to become injured for any freaking reason. For fuck's sake.
yeah. So I'm thinking that maybe they're gonna end up having one more match, and maybe that's gonna be the one Sammy will be up on. I hope. Maybe. Who knows? But like right now, like Drew McIntyre is like Sami Zayn's like the mountain that he just can't seem to get over. So maybe that's where they're going with this. Maybe that's a fight that they'll introduce and for this January 6th show that they're going to be doing.
Oh, maybe so. I mean, Drew and Sammy actually work well together, even though
They
Sammy's
do.
never, ever gotten a singles victory over Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre. And the more I think they emphasize that, the more they're trying to make it into a big deal when it does finally happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
so
I think in a previous podcast about that I think that's the way it should be. I think that there should be some wrestlers that other wrestlers just can't beat. And I still believe that. But as a fan, I'm speaking as a fan right now when I say I hope Sammy finally does get to win because that would be a great story. Uh if he doesn't, I would be okay with that too because I honestly feel like even though this is kayfabe, I kind of just like when you write comic books, the context like matters, like the continuation of the story matters. Like you just can't throw in random shit. To me, that's and I know it. There's been some crazy stuff happening in wrestling over the years, but I like what's happening right now with the Triple H era. I do. I like the storylines that are uh coming out because they just seem to be a little more grounded in a world where we are still believing that this is real. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and I think you made a comment. Because in the same match you had made that comment about like there's some wrestlers that just shouldn't beat other wrestlers.
Yeah.
And without like tremendous context, right? Like without
Right.
running them into a building, or dropping a forklift on them or something.
Right.
Um, That said, though, you also made the comment about like Sami Zayn going down to a single claymore when he repeatedly kicked out against people like Roman Reigns
Yeah,
and other such things. So like with Gunter, right? Like Gunter could not figure out how to beat him outside of the sleeper hold because he just kept kicking out of everything else he was getting thrown at him.
yeah.
So maybe this is Sammy. When he comes back, he's tapping into that again. So I don't know, or maybe they saw that, or who knows? But
Yeah.
they clearly are setting up that things are not done between Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre.
And I'm totally here for it. I'm totally here for it. And yeah, I did bring that up because I found that interesting because again, I want storylines to be a little more consistent, a
Consistent.
little more coherent, right? And these are very coherent storylines. Consistency is what I want now, and I think in the Triple H era, I think he's doing better at that than in previous years. You know?
Yeah, I agree, because I think it's kind of a cop out, like because sometimes I feel like pro wrestling wants you to think it's more shallow than it is. So then when it's deeper, it's like, well, yeah, But then at the same time, they want to conveniently hand wave things that are less consistent. Like, oh, it's just a pro wrestling storyline. Get over it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like pick a lane.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
gonna be writing these storylines that are surprisingly consistent, then we're going to expect that going forward. Not
Yeah.
like, oh well, it's just pro wrestling. Whatever, hand wave.
Yeah.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I do think I'm not saying that because WWE isn't doing great in that regard right now. They're on fire of late.
Yeah.
They now have us carrying. Remember how we were going into Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, seemingly like who cares? And
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I'm invested. I'm like, oh shit, Kevin
Yeah.
Owens is going off. Um,
Yep.
Even though it's pile drivers that we see regularly, when we look at AEW, right? There'll be like 5 pile drivers in a single match,
Yeah.
like. But in the storyline in the WWE universe, pile drivers were banned, and now you're doing them, and these guys are all getting injured, and it's like, oh no. And it makes me wonder, like, I think I called it correctly some podcasts back that watch them use this to sort of start introducing pile drivers back, and it looks like they're kind of going that way.
Yeah. You
And it
called
would
it.
it would work because if Penta El Zero Miedo is coming over, then he'll be able to use this fear factor if we put pile drivers back on the menu. And so that would be a good thing. And I know they've said a couple of times now, and they reasserted recently that just because they're going to Netflix doesn't mean that they're going to pursue more like kind of edgier, adultier content. Um, what it would mean is that they probably have more latitude to put some of those things back on the menu that might have been previously considered for their product too violent.
Yeah.
So if it allows them to do more in ring, then that's going to be a good time for WWE, because that strikes at one of the strengths of like some of these indie wrestling promotions and even AEW, in that AEW, like, in ring takes more risks and shows more graphic violence than WWE is capable of.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about necessarily like getting to the level where we're hitting people with barbed wire and making this the bloodiest match you've ever seen,
I'd be
but
okay if they don't.
but certainly allowing things like pile drivers and some of these crazier suplexes, would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then it's not like, well, I have to go elsewhere if I want to see like a whole bunch of moves in the wrestling maneuver catalog that WWE is just unilaterally banned everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And I excuse me. I would be a-okay if they were bringing the power drivers back and all that, but going to the level with the barbed wire bats and stuff like that, I'd be okay if they didn't. I'd be okay if they just kept it where it is now. Not every match has to be like that, and when it is like that, it just kind of takes the shock out of it. Um, And also, I this is something that I want people, I want wrestlers to continue to do as long as they possibly can do it. Uh, and like just beating yourselves up every match that way. I think that would take too much of a toll. Too quickly on most of the wrestlers that I really like. So I'm okay. I'm okay with them keeping it at the level of intensity that it is now.
Yeah, I'm fine with them. Like I think as bloody as I would ever really want them to get, I would like street fights that are a little bit better than the joke of a street fight that say like was I think
Shinsuke and
Nakamura and
Cody.
Seth Rollins and Nakamura and Cody, yeah,
It
Cody
was,
back
yeah,
some months ago before he went off TV and came back like more the Dark Samurai. Because those were pathetic. Like it's like your street fight is that you walked 10 feet up the entrance ramp, did a
and
move,
then
and then
that.
came back to the ring. So I mean, somewhere in between that and like the like over the top super violence of, for lack of a better example, when Swerve and Hangman just had their final battle,
Yeah,
right? That pushed the line, I think, for some people. I liked it. I thought it was fine, but I could understand why people who maybe have their kids there might not want to. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, but I mean, we just watched Drew and CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell where Drew literally busted open. Like there was a phenomenal amount of blood on that. And I think we don't need to go much further than that.
yeah,
But I do think it would make like their street fights a little bit better, you know, if they were less like, oh, we don't want anybody to ever bleed. Um, so you know, you can go too far to the PG side where it's a little bit boring. So we're going over here and looking at the indies and AEW to try and see, you know, pile drivers and power bombs and crazier maneuvers and some of these over the top matches. I think WWE can bring that up a notch without pushing it too far to where, you know, we can't enjoy this because it's too extreme now.
yeah, yeah. I feel you. Um, and I agree. Where were we?
I
Oh, I
think
think I
the
got it.
Miz, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The Miz. We cut backstage. I think to the Miz trying to convince Paul O'Ring and
All over.
Paul O'Ring and Area of Penetration to let him
Oh
leave
no.
the Final
What is
Testament.
what is happening?
What? That's not their names?
What did you
Paul
say?
O'Ring.
The act of penetration? What are they?
Area of
AOP?
Penetration.
The area of penetration and Paul O-ring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all
What?
right.
What did I say? What is his name?
Paul Ellering
Hey.
and authors of pain, not area of penetration.
Oh. All right. Fine. Whatever. Um. But he was trying to convince them to let him leave the Final Testament and whatnot. And then Carrion appeared out of nowhere, like came up behind him and was like, "What's going on? What we're talking about?" And the Miz was about to like do some serious ass kissing, and then Karen was like, "Sir." Uh, and he wanted Miz to set up a match between him and Dexter Loomis next week on Raw. Ding ding, yes please. Um,
Yeah.
and because uh O-Ring says that he saved Miz on two separate occasions, so Miz owes them. Uh, and Miz went to make the match official. Um, yeah. Oh, and when Miz walked away, I believe it was Karen. He said that he was going to learn, him being the Miz was going to learn a very valuable lesson, that when you make a deal with the devil, you don't run out on it.
It's for
Um,
your soul.
yeah. And again, I like where they're going with Karrion Cross. This is good. Let's just keep this going. Keep the same energy. I like what they're doing
Yeah.
with the Wyatt Six. This is good. Let's keep the same energy. I like the fact that they didn't just come and dominate and win every single thing they got into because they are quote unquote creepy.
Yeah.
Um, and I like that that Triple H saw the potential of Karrion Cross's Final Testament faction to make this work. To have a group that can compete against against the White Six. This is a very smart idea. And now you can set up single matches. You can set up tag team matches. Like this is chef's kiss.
Yep.
You know, so this is years of entertainment if they play it right. If they continue to play their cards right here, we can just keep this going on and on and on to the break of dawn. You know what I mean?
I do. Apparently, it involves an area of penetration.
Yep.
Um,
Hey, talk to O-Ring.
there's a
Listen. I didn't call them. I didn't make their names. You know.
there's a couple of things I'd like to say here from what's happened on the internet with regards to Karrion Cross and the Wyatt Six. Karrion Cross has taken to cutting promos like off show. He'll end up cutting promos where he's videotaped himself and he puts it on YouTube, and it's pretty amazing actually. His work there has been really good.
You're not wrong. It has, yeah.
And most recently, he was talking about like people who are turning on the Wyatt Six because they lost one match, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you never deserved the Wyatt Six if you're that fickle of a fan. And you know, maybe the person that's a problem here is not the Final Testament, it's not the Wyatt Six, it's you. And it's like, oh man, sick burn. And I mean, so he's doing God's work over there, even though he's portraying himself as like a vampire devil. And it's great. Like, it's great to give that Karrion has realized that he can utilize that platform to sit there and, you know, give his diatribes,
Yeah.
and kind of his more long-winded explanations for, you know, his take on stuff. It's really good. I say long-winded, that makes it sound bad, but I mean, he has more time to, you know, kind of go into it than I think, you know, the TV time would normally allow for.
Yeah.
And it's been fantastic. Like, we've watched, I want to say 2 or 3 of his promos that he's posted on YouTube, and they're great.
They are. And I'm here for it.
Yep. But that leads us into our second match of the night, which is Raquel Rodriguez versus Kaden Carter versus Zoe Stark in a first round match in the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by this match for the most part.
Yep.
I thought Raquel was just going to be like, you know, shit cannon everybody, like, because she's huge. I know Zoe Stark is fairly muscular, but Raquel is like towering over both of these women, and Kaden Carter is like 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised at the performance of all 3 of these women. They actually did really good, with one notable exception. And I don't want to tank the whole match because of a kind of a sloppy finish, but there was kind of a sloppy finish.
Yeah.
Before I get there, though, I would like to say that I was most surprised by the singles performance of Kaden Carter. I wasn't sure what to expect because we usually see them in tag action, her and Katana Chance.
Mhm.
And Kaden was actually bringing it. Like, she's the smallest woman in there, and she was bringing it, and like had a lot of cool, like, take advantage of the fact that she's the littlest woman in there. There were points where she was like ducking under, you know, people trying to kick at her, and so they'd kick the other opponent because she's like 1 inch tall.
Yeah.
And she would slip out of situations because she's small and quick. There was a point where I want to say, I think she was in a pinning situation where she was actually, I want to say, on top of Raquel. And Zoe came off the ropes to try and break up the pin, and she got out the way, so Zoe effectively just elbow dropped Raquel, who was already down. It was that kind of stuff. Like, I was really pleased with her performance in this match.
Yeah.
And Raquel looked solid for the parts that they gave her. I had no complaints there. And Zoe was looking good, at least until the finish. For those, just to kind of cut to the chase here, Zoe Stark ends up being the victor. But when she went to deliver the Z360, and she wasn't doing it to Raquel, who you'd think, this would be more understandable with, she picked Caden Carter, or Caden Carter was the victim of choice for the Z360. And it was the sloppiest, worst looking Z360 I think I've ever seen her give. And I
Yeah.
don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if Caden didn't do it right. I don't know if Zoe didn't do it right. But the finish was bricked in this one because like the Z360 almost looked like she was about to just dump Caden directly on her head because she didn't really get the rotation needed to go, as the name suggests, 360 degrees around. And instead of looking like, she would come down on the knee kind of in a similar fashion to the go to sleep, it ended up being more like she just kicked her as she fell to the ground. So
Yeah.
it was a terrible looking Z360. Otherwise, the match was good.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one thing that I wanted to say, two things actually.
Hmm.
I thought Raquel looked pretty dominant when they gave her the opportunity to do so, and I think Carter stood out, which I found interesting because I remember her partner being in a singles match, or yeah, in a singles match with two other women, and I couldn't remember anything she did. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't, I can't, I just couldn't remember her. Uh, I don't remember her. Yeah, there's nothing of note that comes to my mind. But
Yeah.
Carter stood out in this match.
Yeah, not the least of which Carter kind of stands out in general because she's got the bright green eyes and the braids,
Yeah,
but she really used that to her advantage when she did the middle rope tornillo. Very similar to the middle rope tornillo that we see the Beast Mortos doing on AEW, where she spins really fast.
yeah,
And because she spun really fast, her braids fanned out, so it looked like it almost made like a parasol, kind of a fan when she did it, and it was
yeah.
cool looking.
It did look cool. Not gonna lie, did look cool. Uh, so yeah, this was ultimately a good match. Um, and it turned out to be a lot better than I thought. It's a lot better than I anticipated. And you always love to see that.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love being pleasantly surprised by and this is for the mid card title, so pleasantly surprised by relatively the mid card when they put on like a very good match.
yeah,
And again, save for the finish that was pretty bad. The rest of the match was really, really good, and I don't want to hold that overly against what was like 95% of the rest of the match. But yeah, that finish was. mm,
yeah,
So
yeah,
hopefully we can get that in order because if they're trying to give Zoe Stark a push, we've been begging them to let PFC like get a push.
yeah,
And so for the finish to go badly like that it doesn't reflect well on Zoe, regardless of who was at fault. And so I'd hate to see like her push, sorry, get snuffed because of those kinds of flubs.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can just move on from that and things will get better. Uh, but yeah, on the whole, a good match.
Agreed. Yeah. Now, right after that, we got our truth, our truth,
Oh,
backstage,
the treasure that is truth.
talking to the Alpha Academy about their recent commercial. Which, if you haven't seen it, you should probably go and look it up. It's
It's hilarious.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. Um. So, but R-Truth said that the commercial got him motivated to beat Butch easily, and then Butch comes out of from like off camera, yelling at Truth, telling him that he's had enough. He's tired of him calling him Butch and blah blah blah. Oh, and the next time that it happens, he's gonna break Truth's jaw, and Truth says, Butch, please.
Yeah.
Um, he, and he said it like twice, but like, because I mean, he said it to him. He said it in response to Butch saying, the next time that he says that he's gonna break Truth's jaw, and then he says final warning, and then he walks away, and I'm like, I thought that was already. So you gave him two final
Dose
warnings.
final warnings,
All right,
and
well that
I think that was the second time he had inserted that, because I think prior Truth had said he loved the Alpha Academy's commercial. It got him motivated to put down that little butch easily, and so
yes, yeah,
you got
yeah,
the play on words, and it was fantastic, like Butch Please and
yeah.
that little Butch, and so that was great. Like, our Truth is gold.
He is national treasure. I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it again. But after he left, after Butch walks away, Chad Gable he shows up and he calls the Alpha Academy a clown show. He thought their commercial was pathetic. Um, Otis tells Gable to shut up, and Gable basically says that he's gonna take the Alpha team, the Alpha Academy out, and he wanted to start with Akira Tozawa. And
Right.
then
He's going big or going home. He's gonna pick on the largest member. Oh,
yeah,
Akira, gotcha.
yeah, pretty much. Uh, and then let's see. Oh, after that, I think Jackie Redmond was backstage, and she was trying again. She was trying to do another interview with it was another interview that was trying to happen backstage with this time with the New Day, and Xavier Woods started to say that they're dealing with biased journalism. Uh, and he was about to give her like a talking to
The
when she
dissertation.
yeah, when she was like, "Oh, I can't. I gotta. I'll be right back. I gotta, cause like there's a commotion going on that we can't see off camera." Uh, and whenever we follow her with the cameraman, we see Pure Fusion Collective, walking away, and Kyrie Zane is just screaming her head off.
Screaming her head off. My
Like
God, she
she
sold
was
that shit.
screaming so much that I was like, "Is she okay for real?" Like
Yeah,
seriously.
it made me think she was legit hurt, and I hope that's not the case. But apparently, Zoe Stark had slammed her hand into a production crate, like the lid, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn. The way she was selling, though, I was like, hey, she need medical attention, because
Yeah,
she is screaming like
seriously.
she has been stabbed.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, Kyrie sold that shit.
Yeah, no, so that was like, ugh. But that leads us to, I think this is the last match of the night. If I am not mistaken, the last match of the night was the Judgment Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championship. And man, oh man, Land O'Lake Butter, this here was a bangerang of a match.
Oh man, was it a bangering? But it's worth noting, for those keeping count, this was a very storyline driven episode. As you can see, it's only the third match of the night, and it's the main event.
Yeah. Uh, and I want to say, because again, I'm not gonna give the play by play for the move. That's not me. But I do want to say that my general feelings for the War Raiders, I have been impressed with them from the moment I laid eyes on them, especially Ivar. Not to take anything away from Eric, because Eric, in his own right, is a damn good wrestler. But Ivar is, I man,
Yeah.
back when they were trying to throw him into the big man matches, when he was having matches with Bronson Reed, before he got injured, I believe.
Yeah, Bronson Reed and Otis, and like just mighty meat man matches kind of thing.
Back then, with his spinning back kicks and all this other crazy stuff that this dude can do, he was a freaking delight to watch. Now, some years later, right, or some time later, when I say some years, I mean from the time that we started to watch them, from the time that we saw them to now. Uh, Nothing but improvements. These dudes got in that ring and had a match like they were legit. Like somebody told them you get the belts, but you also get two, not one, two golden sandwiches, one for each of you.
Not golden sandwiches.
The very same, good sir.
Oh
And
man, that explains why they were kicking so much ass. They
they
really
heard
wanted them
that and
sandwiches.
they were like, "Oh no, oh hell no, ah no no no, we're getting them belts and them Sammys." So
I'd also like to say on a side note that I love. Remember how we noted that when they were on the main roster, that it felt like Michael Cole buried them, like buried
yes,
their whole gimmick. Like, oh, they're the new and improved
no
vicious Viking
vicious.
Rangers.
Like, shut
and
up,
and then
Michael.
like when Valhalla came out, he's like, that's Cyril Logan, and it's like, dude, why don't you just kill the gimmick? Like Undertaker comes out, you don't go, oh, that's Mark Calloway. So I said all that to say, by contrast, Wade Barrett puts them over amazingly. Now that he gets in, like when they're coming out and he does the whole growly, "Raw is war,"
Oh, yeah,
and he does that so well, and it just hypes you up for these dudes. And so I'm real glad to see that they're not getting buried by the announce desk before they even come to the ring now.
yeah. Very happy about that. Um, and the audience was here for it. Uh, yeah, the war chant that Ivar normally starts, deafening. I mean, they were there. They were there for it. What did you think? What did you think of it? What did you think of?
Oh, I was thrilled. I'm a big fan of Eric and Ivar both.
Yeah,
As I've made clear, my favorite style of pro wrestling is like American power style, basically. And these dudes are aces at it. They are
yeah,
all about them big slams and power bombs and spine busters and all of that. And finding new and creative ways to slam somebody even more severely than they did before. It's
yeah,
great. And this was a great match for them to do it in because Finn Balor and JD McDonough both are, one, like they're outweighed by probably 200 pounds between the two of them.
yeah,
And so, Eric and Ivar can quite easily slam both of these guys, straight through the floor. And we get a lot of that actually at the beginning. Like the beginning segment of this match is pretty much Eric and Ivar kicking the crap out of Balor, sorry, and McDonough. And I want to say somewhere in the middle of the match, they start to kind of take back over through, shenanigans and throwing people outside the ring and doing stuff behind the back. And basically they start using their sneakiness and their speed. And I have to say, Finn and McDonough both looked fantastic as well
yeah.
here.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
know we're lavishing on the Viking Raider, or sorry, the War Raiders, and but McDonough and Finn really, aces to both of them. I know in the kayfabe McDonough is a joke, but when it comes to what he can do in that ring, he is no joke. He is fantastic.
yeah,
We can make fun of his big head. We can call him the human Pez dispenser. We can talk about how, like, if he headbutts somebody, that's a attempted homicide. But the dude is fantastic. Like, he really is very,
yeah,
very good. And Finn is like legend level
yeah,
with his consistency and his ability to perform in that ring. So this was a banger of a match from bell to bell.
yeah,
And just to pick a couple of the high spots, and mine will probably be biased towards like the big slams. There was huge slams from Ivar, particularly like he grabbed hold of McDonough on the top rope and hit him with a front slam, like an avalanche front slam. And whenever he hits anybody with that, it's like, how are you still alive? Like, how are you
yeah,
not just a grease stain on the mat?
yeah, yeah,
You are permanently going to have the words "Prime" from the center of the map tattooed on you after that. And I mean, Eric is no slouch either. Ivar is easy to talk about because he's huge, right? He's like 350 pounds of a guy who moves like he's a cruiserweight in some cases. It's insane.
yeah,
I love when people run towards Ivar in the corner, and he just lifts up his legs and squashes them. He's got a kind of a side slam that he's doing now, which looks like it would be a sidewalk slam, except instead of just going sideways down to the ground, he does a full layout with it, and that makes it look brutal. And it tends to lead into him, getting up, running towards the ropes, and the opponent's kind of in a sitting position, and that lets him do a big splash on him, and that's a great sequence. Then there's Ivar and his propensity, like when somebody has their back to, they're outside and their back is up against either the ring or against the barricade. He'll run at them and do a big splash where they're just up against a wall, so they're flattened. I mean, these are all great moves. I want to say, from Eric, we had an amazing. It was almost like a spine buster. I know that the announcers called it an uranagi, but it wasn't like a shoulder throw. It was more like a waist lift. But either way, it was this massive slam, and they were bringing it. They brought their everything to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get a great match through the first and the second segments, where it becomes a little more back and forth, whereas in the first part, it really sort of felt like the War Raiders were getting it. And I would like to call out that I saw something for the first time in this match out of Ivar. We're used to seeing him cartwheel, at least if you've watched, you've seen him do it a couple of times. But this time he did a cartwheel kick, and then immediately got into the spinning leg lariat he does, and I'm like, oh my god, he just knocked that dude's head clean off.
Yep. Rolled out of the ring.
Yeah. And so this was a really good match between the two of them, and it started to look like it might go in Judgment Day's favor briefly, because there was a point, I want to say, where Ivar was trying to get up on the apron, or up on the top turnbuckle, and he gets crotched on the top turnbuckle, and I want to say he gets toppled out of the ring at one point, in a kind of a mean way. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. But it leaves Eric pretty much all alone with both of the Judgment Day. And there was a point where McDonough headbutts him and then tags in Balor. And Balor ends up, I think, getting to a sling blade and then hits him with the shotgun drop kick. And because Ivar has been laid out on the edge of the ring, we're like, oh man, they're going to catch the win. This is how the Judgment Day keeps it. And they set it up, and I want to say McDonough hits a moonsault, and Balor, I keep calling him Balor, sorry. Balor hits the coup de grace, and we're like, that's it. It's over, except that Ivar managed to get back in, and he breaks up the count. And at this point, McDonough dumps Ivar back out of the ring. And I want to say Finn tells McDonough to go grab a steel chair. Let's see, how did it go? I can't. I think I don't remember exactly whether McDonough was able to get the steel chair, but I know that Finn ends up leaving and going to try and grab a steel chair as well.
What happened was he does get a steel chair and he tries to bring it in, and the ref is wrestling with him. And while the ref is distracted with that, Finn goes to get his own chair.
There it is. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And when Finn goes to get a chair, he just he's still kind of looking back at the ring while he reaches over the timekeeper's area and he grabs a chair. And then he starts to try and move with it, but it won't move. And he finally turns around to see what it's stuck on or what's happening. And you have Damian Priest holding on to the other end. And Damian yanks the chair, which, I think pulls Balor hard into the barricade. And while this is going on, Ivar kind of punches McDonough out of the ring, and Finn, who is recovering from, being assaulted on the barricade by Damian Priest, gets back in the ring, and the War Raiders hit War Machine on Finn to pick up the victory and become the new heavyweight tag team champions on this episode of Monday Night Raw. We got a new title change, and this was so great. One, it was a fantastic match. Two, I love that there is a direct line of Damian Priest costing Finn and McDonough those titles. And I'm just pleased that the War Raiders won them. We end up going off the air with the War Raiders justifiably celebrating. There's even pyro and fireworks and everything, and it was such a cool thing to have happen just on like a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Now, if Cody Rhodes, not Cody Rhodes, but if Kevin Owens came and like pile drived any of them, we don't know. Okay. So all we know is it ended on a good note for my man's. Okay. So.
Yep. And so your Raw World Tag Team Champions are the War Raiders now, and clearly there is mad unfinished business with Finn and Damian, and now Finn is going to be super upset. He was already upset with Damian trying to go after the World Heavyweight title. Now Damian has literally cost them their gold, and there's so much I can't wait for. One, I can't wait for what title defenses may come with the War Raiders, obviously, but I can't wait to see how upset Finn is. And I can't wait to see how badly Liv Morgan's going to troll the crap out of him for losing their tag belts.
I can't wait.
Going to be so mad. But that was really good. Real quick, now that we've arrived at the end of the episode, what would you rate this episode of Raw?
At least an 8.5. It was really fun. It's only 3 matches, but it was really fun, and I'm very happy that they changed belts again on another Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, a surprise. I'll agree with you. I would suggest this is an 8.5. Definitely top tier. Plenty of neck nubs. It just got better and better after the beginning, and like you said, only 3 matches. They still made it a banger. So. Yeah, real good episode. And that's been our review of WWE Monday Night Raw from December 16th. And I want to thank everybody who joined us for this episode, and I hope you'll join us for the next one. Until then, I don't think there's much left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. It's Christmas. Bye, guys.
Nice.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.